cooking. I was not trying to show my face.
I got my plate. I'll be back there.
I don't have a plate. My chef's over there doing her work while I sit back, hang my jaw.
You know what? I need a glass of wine with you because I'm like,
I need to go get me one.
Y'all just say happy hour, right?
What's up with y'all? This is a happy hour. What's up the problem?
Ready.
Okay, wait. I got something for y'all. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on.
Oh, let's see what you got, Kelly.
It's gonna be. You're gonna laugh.
Hi,
I got a Nourish juice.
Okay, now. Hi, Elise. Simone, how are you?
Good. How are you? How's everyone?
I am blessed to see everybody. It's just amazing.
I know, it's such a good turnout.
Yeah. Got all the faces up here. All our presenters are here too. And Kim's gonna come and make us jealous because she's laying on some kind of pillow over there.
No. Hi, I'm lying down for a minute, but I wanted to. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Kim.
It's a reunion.
Hi, Simone.
How are you?
Good. I'm just resting for a minute, but I'm still I'm here.
That's fine. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
That's all we just do. Science. I was sharing with someone, Sunday's my day to go out there into the nature by myself. Glad it's hot, so everything can be absorbed and killed. And I get a chance to go out. So I've been out up until about an hour ago.
Oh my God.
Manny, you want to test your voice again?
You said what?
Ben, okay, you're there. Okay, cool. I want to make sure you're Manny. Your sound better. I suppose it is. He hadn't said a word. Mr. Otico. He must have got me on mute. And Maria.
Hi, everybody.
You got a little dinner with you, don't you?
Now I got a snack.
All right.
Well, guys, we have 1 minute here. We'll get started. So people are still coming in. There we go. You know, this is a happy hour. So you see, I have my array of drinks. Anything from great water to great wine to other things. So I'm going to raise my drink up. Now, where's the rest of y'all? Okay.
I might just have to get some water. Right. Let's see.
Don't try to make us feel guilty talking about you got
It's
water.
my Olivia Pope glass.
It's your Olivia Pope glass.
Yes, I like that.
With the long stem.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's it. You got it. It looks like it's an
That's a
Olivia
big
Pope
one.
full, too. So has everybody had a good, so we haven't had a happy hour since before convention. Has everybody had a good time?
At the convention or here?
This period.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Manny. We can hear you. I told you to practice that sound.
Well, I was going to say I was not happy with the convention until I had a whole bunch of technical problems. I signed up for some meetings with people during the job fair. I signed up. I wasn't able to add my resume. Nobody contacted me back. And then I was trying to contact people to
So you had some challenges, Manny?
Yeah, I had a lot of challenges.
Well, there's a survey. I want you to send it over and make sure you answer the survey so that we can always make it better.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I was not happy with it.
Yeah, overall, if I were to rate the convention, the virtual, I give it on a scale of 1 to 10. I give it a 10, including everything that needs to be fixed about it. We gathered and we saved lives instead of gathering live. So we had a good time. So I would give it that. There's a whole lot we can work on, but you're right. So don't forget to share that stuff with me.
Okay.
Anybody doing any great discoveries or jobs, contracts, anything pop up over a sudden?
I secured some new voiceover work. Signed a contract with a publisher to do voiceover, so I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So I can't wait when we email that all out, okay?
Yeah.
Sure enough.
Okay. All right, good. So I hope it's a commercial we all can watch.
You know what? That is so wrong.
It could be one of those other commercials where I'm not interested in worrying about that stuff.
Terry is a mess. You're a mess, Terry.
We call this a happy hour, Don.
Oh, shoot, let the festivities begin.
Yeah, all right, show your faces, unmute yourselves. I'm gonna let you guys unmute because I want you to say hello. We're gonna get started in like 30 seconds here, and I want to say hello to Deanna.
Hi, Terry.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How is everybody?
All right.
Love
How
the
are you?
hair.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, all this natural hair on the screen. Oh, nappy day. Y'all know I was gonna put that in there. Oh, nappy day. Jesus
Hey,
wiped that perm away.
Am I gonna get a t-shirt?
T-shirts,
Yeah, I want a
we're sending
t-shirt.
we're sending a link to order t-shirts. The speakers get them, and you guys
Okay.
can order one too. We order your t-shirt. Help us pay for 2 or 3 members go registration and membership fees and everything else. So let's keep that going. All right, we're gonna get started here, and so I am going to change the screen to speaker view. That way, I'll be talking. But I do want to say. Welcome everybody, welcome back. Thank you for all the things that we've been working on. Your emails have been fantastic. The connections have been fantastic. We do have one more thing to celebrate. I think our last happy hour created a partnership or a deal. Did it, Simone?
It is still being worked out.
Oh, cool. So we can't talk about it yet. Okay, all right. Now, we're not supposed to talk about it. Yeah, she's in charge of the nuclear reactor. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about it yet, but this is a happy hour. So what we do here is we create a connection, not a hookup, but a connection. So it's good to have all you here. And I'm letting people as we go, come in as we speak, but we're going to get started. And I'm just looking for my kickoff speech. You know I would lose it at this point. Everybody thinks, oh, you can go unscripted. I don't think so. I'm in PR. So no unscripted here. But what I do want to say is we ask people into the happy hour because when you stand and share your story in an empowering way, your story will heal yourself, empower you, lift you up, and it will heal somebody else and lift us up. That's why I created this happy hour, because we are more powerful as a group than we think we are. Sometimes we don't even realize how beyond our power is. And so today we'll begin a session with our wonderful speakers, and I'm going to give you a little overview of everybody. I'm so happy that people reach out to me, and it's good to reach out to my solar decks and be able to pull people up. I appreciate that. Go ahead, write that down. So you know, solar decks is what I said. Yeah, I said solar decks. Okay. Ben Crawford is one of our guests from the happy hour. He's dropping in. He's a brand marketing expert whose work ranges from a lot of A-list people, including Spike Lee, Power All Stars, and The Four. We're going to talk about that one, Dan. He's from Washington, D.C., and lives in New York. And he's on the board of advisors of All Black Creatives Foundations. So Ben's favorite quote is, when you love what you do, innovation is inevitable. And of course, we have my good friend who has been around me since for about 5 years when we both were 12. Y'all didn't get that. Okay. Dr. Froswa Booker Drew, congratulations, doctor. I call her a go-to person. She's my 3 a.m. call, my 4 a.m. email, my 9 o'clock breakfast, my midday speech. She's always there. You know, she does a fantastic job. She's a networker who believes in relationships that are key to personal, professional, organizational growth. And so if you guys can mute yourselves right now, we'll with the exception of the speakers, we'll get started. So Manny, I need you to mute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so there we go. Because somehow you shrunk up on the speaker screen, it should be someone else. She is currently the Vice President of Community Affairs at the State Fair of Texas. Now, one of the things about the State Fair is she has facilitated, it not only has the largest gathering of Texans in October, but she has facilitated so many meetings with nonprofit community affairs people, key stakeholders, and pivoting in this pandemic has been quite a successful challenge for her. She'll be able to share that. She received her PhD from Antioch University in Leadership and Change. I like that part. And she's like me, an adjunct professor. She's at Tulane University, University of North Texas, University of Texas at Arlington, Capitol Cemetery, and she is now a doctor. We got a doctor in the house, y'all. Anybody get sick on the streets? You know, I asked her to come because I know y'all gonna be turning it up, right? There you go. And my good friend, this is my high five between airports friend. And she's going one way and I'm going the other. Don Kelly, she's the founder and CEO of the Nourish Spot Incorporated. Dawn is just all that in a bag of chips. She's a New Yorker that loves Texas. She is raised in Cambria Heights, and you were in Washington, D.C. for a minute too, right, Dawn?
Yes,
There
yes.
you go. And formerly, she was Department Vice President of Prudential Financial Incorporated, but she is a trusted PR warrior. Strategic communications is her wheelhouse, and she has 30 years because she started when she was 2. Y'all better recognize. She started when she was 2, and she has 30 years in developing and implementing large-scale, innovative, and integrated communications plan. Kelly is also the recipient of the 2013 Pat Tobin Media Professional Award. And one day we'll talk about Pat Tobin because she's the one who just taken many of our hands and made us who we are. She just grab our hand and just say, I want you to meet someone. And from that comes the deal, because she'll come back to you and she say, what y'all talk about? And I'll tell her, oh, you didn't do that right. Let's go back. So that's Pat Tobin. Kelly's well versed in leveraging a multi-channel approach, including digital, social media, print, broadcasting, grandmother's back porch, because y'all know that's our main force of communication. That's how you got started. So I've got all these great speakers, y'all. Let's go ahead and show you a visible round of applause for both of everybody. There you go. So those of you who are wearing your t-shirts, just show your phone up. All our speakers get one, and you guys can get one as well. But I'm going to start off with Dr. Froswa Booker-Drew, and then Don, and then Van, but you have the same question. 10 minutes of your introduction of yourself and answer the question if you can. Where are we today in regards to our pandemic, and what are your best tips for reinvention? You get 10 minutes, and then we'll come back, and I'm going to ask individual questions of each of you, and then we have a big Q&A. We have a few more celebrations, too, because someone's telling me they got some great stuff. If you have questions, put them in the chat. You can download the chat and keep it. So if you want to throw your emails in there, and I'm sure some of you are making private messages right now as we speak, so it's all good. So let's start with Dr. Froswa Booker-Drew, her 10-minute intro. What's up, Doctor?
Hey, Terry, thanks for having me. I appreciate this, and it's just so amazing to see you all there and doing the amazing work that you all do every day. So applause and kudos to you. Terry, you really did an introduction. I started at the State Fair in 2016, and when I started, there really wasn't a community affairs department. And one of the things that I always want people to understand is, for those who aren't from Texas, the State Fair wasn't necessarily on the right side of history. It was a place that had some challenges in terms of, and I won't go into a whole lot of detail because that'd be more than 10 minutes, but it had some challenges in terms of the way that it interacted with our community. The fair is located in the heart of South Dallas, and it is a community that is Black folks. And here you have this economic engine that in 24 days brings in $40+ million. And so when I came in, there was a lot of frustration that people had, although the entity has been there over 100+ years. It wasn't a place that was really accessible for a lot of folks in our community. And so we got a new president who really wanted to look at how do you engage the community differently. And so I really spent a lot of time listening. And one of the things that I've learned is it's very easy because we're Black to make the assumption that we understand our community. And that's not necessarily true. A lot of people take that for granted and will build programs and then get frustrated because people don't show up and aren't involved. And one of the things that I did, even though my church is in that community and I had worked at a lot of organizations, one of the things that I wanted to make sure of was that I was listening. And out of that, I really built our framework in terms of our philanthropy, our signature programs, and we really focus on 3 things: capacity building for nonprofits, economic development, and education. How do we support our local schools? And based on that, really started looking at how we use our funds. What I'm proud of, and there's a lot of work to be done, I'm proud that we've got some amazing programs that we do in the community. We funded last year 67 nonprofits, $500,000. But what I'm most proud of is the fact that 90% of the folks we fund are Black and brown. And in the philanthropy community, you don't see that narrative. And so I'm very proud to be able to say that we have been very intentional in trying to make sure that our small to mid-sized nonprofits are supported. Terry mentioned pivoting in the pandemic. And one of the things that's been interesting is people didn't think you could do community engagement in a pandemic. And quite frankly, you can do a whole lot. We started doing calls with our nonprofits and trying to get them to coordinate and collaborate. What started off as a few on a call now is almost 40 organizations that come on the call, and it continues to grow. We just had one Friday, and it started off being twice a month. Now we're monthly, and trying to get our Black and Brown organizations to collaborate more together. One of the things that frustrates me is when people say we don't work together. Well, that's not true. I see coordination and collaboration happening nonstop in our communities. And so one of the things that I started really doing was trying to make sure the philanthropic community was aware of these organizations and making sure that they existed. Because what we do know is the larger entity is always on the radar. And it's our small, mid-sized ones that are not. And then they end up getting pimped, in essence, to do all the work and then not get the resource coming back to them. So I was just so excited that in our partnership with United Way and with Communities Foundation of Texas, that a number of our nonprofits were able to get on the radar and get some funding. And so we're trying to continue to make sure that narrative is changed in philanthropy. The other thing that I get to do, and again, that's just a snippet, but one of the other things I'm very proud of that I get to do is I'm co-founder of Heritage Giving Circle. Heritage is a Black women's giving circle that was funded in 2017. A sister by the name of Keela Wallace came to me, and another sister, Dr. Halima Francis Leakin, said, let's pool our money and let's bring sisters around us and let's start funding organizations that are important to us. And so it's 40 plus of us. Since 2017, we've raised $50,000 of our own money and given that out to organizations led by Black women in the community. And so again, for me, it's just been wonderful, even in the midst of a pandemic, that Black women are changing the narrative, using their dollars to begin to support organizations that really impact our community. And then lastly, I've been blessed to be a part of the creation of a new group called Power in Action in Dallas. Our council person came to me and said, we need to do something about COVID. And so I brought together the women from Heritage, as well as a group I started for men called Men of Honor, brought them together, and this has started Power in Action. It's a group that's focused on policing, looking at the census and voting and COVID in our communities. And it's amazing because it's a lot of young people. And one of the things that I'm so intentional about is mentoring and making sure that we're creating a pipeline for younger folks to come on board and take over, so that it didn't take them 20 years to figure out what what many of us had to learn, that they can accelerate the process. And so, Terry, you had asked the question about in the pandemic, how do we reinvent ourselves and survive? I think it's a couple of things that folks have to pay attention to. Relationships are critical. You have got to continue to build your network. You got folks who are sitting at home who are more accessible than ever before. And so if you're not intentional about how do you use not just LinkedIn, but there's another site called Schaefer, SHAPHR. How do you use those kinds of sites to begin to build your network? And even if you're on LinkedIn, how do you take those folks that are in your second and third level of relationships and make them first level? And even with the first ones, how do you leverage those relationships? So that's one. And then two, I think, is the communication piece. We are in such an amazing season. As dismal as it may appear, this is a season of opportunity. And I really believe that we are being prepared for something great. And if you don't take advantage of this time now, we are going to miss out on so many opportunities. So how do you build relationships? How do you ask for what you want and tell people, I want to do this and work on this? How do you become a content creator in this season and beginning to build and push other people's content and your own? I think there's some wonderful ways to pivot in this pandemic, and in the process, still take care of yourself, pick up those passions and dreams that you've left behind, and begin to find those things, pull them out, and begin to work on them so you can realize the fullness of who you are. And that's it for me, Terry. I don't know if that was 10 minutes, but I tried to keep it there. I can't hear you, muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You were 9 minutes and 43 seconds. You did fantastic, and thank you for those blessings. I know you had a time over there. You ain't fooling me. I did put the link to Dr. Froswa's book. I read it 3 times. I bought it and given it to 4 different people already. So it's a great story, and we'll talk about it a little later when we circle back. It's a great book. And so place your questions, and then once we finish our round robin of 10 minutes, and then our initial questions, each one of you be able to ask the question. But make sure you're putting your stuff in the chat because you can download the chat. So now I'm going to flip over to Van Crawford. Your turn.
I thought it was Dawn next.
No, I'm saving Van for last because Pam
Okay.
just signed on. I'm sure Pam and her gonna have quite a little dialogue there.
Cool. Well, great. Firstly, happy Sunday, everyone. Really happy to be here with you guys, even virtually or as we are. But firstly, thank you, Terry, for this. We connected not too long ago, and it was just like instant. I feel like we hit the ground running with just kind of knowing each other's minds, and knowing that we both had a good mindset, and trying to push the Black agenda in the right space. So just really happy about that. So as he was mentioning, I have worked with a lot of different people. Right now, I am a brand marketing consultant. I've worked with brands from Fox to a Hennessy to a Dove, McDonald's. So a lot of different corporate brands. And my job, to kind of jokingly call me the brand guardian. So I try to do, a good job of really making sure whenever we do anything with anyone, everyone leaves happy. I think that I really try to look for synergies, be it, in a one-on-one conversation, be it, in a business conversation, be it for a brand that I'm working with or a client. I think that there's a lot of things that, one brand might do better than the other that can be elevated by the other, but there's a lot of ways we can kind of meet in the middle. So I like to really find those, intersectional points for brands. And then I really, really pride myself on creativity. I know we're gonna talk a little bit about that later, but I think that, innovation and creativity, they make your work more than work, you know what I mean? And I think that making sure that you're everything that you touch and everything that you're involved in, not only, sets apart from the others, but it's memorable, you know what I mean? Because you want, whatever you do, you want it to be something that it hasn't been done before. And if you are doing something that possibly has been done before, you're doing it differently. So I really try to make sure that we're always, anybody I'm working with, position ourselves to be in the, looked at differently and just kind of, always kept top of mind. I really, in this time, I think it's super interesting. I've worked with a lot of, like I said, brands and everything like that, but for a lot of brands, what giving right now, what we're calling woke cash, and kind of, giving all this money out of, they feel like it's going to kind of help, affect different things, but there's still so much work to be done. So it's super interesting right now to see a lot of these, J&J and Amex and Powerade come through, and, so happy to talk about, the Black, shopping Black or supporting Black-owned businesses or, supporting Black executives or anything like that nature. I think it's super interesting. They finally learned the leverage and the power in that. So most of us on this call are subject matter experts in that space already. And I think that it's interesting that now that we're finally in this space where we are literally leading the charge, and a lot of these brands are, trying to kind of capitalize on the timing. I think it's now even more important for us to own that we've been leading the charge, own that we've been, on this path. This isn't something that we just started doing June 2020. You know what I mean? We've been, really opening doors and trying to make pathways for many, many people. I'm not that much, far along in certain things, but I have definitely spent a good tenure, even in undergrad, and after undergrad, trying to mentor, trying to help people out. I think that you're never too old to learn. So I always try to push myself as well as others, to try to use life as a tool, and work, you know what I mean? And draw yourself in situations and personal projects, passion projects, because those little projects can turn into so many things. And you'll be amazed to see how the connections right in front of your face can really, you know, turn into big $1 million deals and things like that. I guess the last thing I will kind of talk about is recently, like as Terry was saying, I was inducted into the All Black Creatives Foundation as an advisor. And just something that for me, you can have your 9 to 5, you know what I mean? You can have whatever you do day to day, but what are we doing, especially as Black professionals and especially as leaders, what are we doing outside of that space? You know what I mean? To help others, to create pathways, to, you know, open up jobs for diversity. I think that it's also about, I had a conversation and with All Black Creatives, we were partnering with Adobe. So the first question they had asked us is, what's one of the challenges in getting people in the UX and UI space? And my answer for them was, well, look at this call. There's no one Black besides us. You know what I mean? So let's get a seat at the table. Let's own that seat at the table, you know, keep that seat at the table. I don't think that we have to look at it as, you know, well, I have my seat, so you can't have yours. I think we can all have it. And I think that there's room for all of us, you know, so just really excited about what the future holds. And I mean, just like, you know, the doctor was saying, this is a time where I definitely feel, I like to say, I'm looking for a reset, not a repeat. So I'm excited for what's to come.
I like that.
All right, then. See what we have to drink on this call? All right, then. So get your drink on. Pamela, I see that was good for you. I am serve it up. Let me say this. If you ever want to be around someone and they open up your soul, you're about to hear from one right now. So Ron, it's your turn.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be with you guys today. Terry, thank you so much for inviting me. Van and Dr. Froswa, you all kind of said everything that I want to say. So I was taking notes. And so I want to say a couple of things.
Manny, we need you to mute. Go ahead, keep talking.
So where are we? That was one of your questions. Where are we? And what I think where we all are is that we're in an intersection of racism, the corona pandemic and health disparities, a failure of the legislative checks and balances. And we're at a time in our life, especially for African Americans, when we have more time on our hands to do what we want than ever before. And I would say that I was talking to my mom about it, and I really do believe that Christ has given us that opportunity to kind of reclaim some of that time that those people took from us during slavery. So now, just want to talk about me and the whole pivot. So yes, I spent 30 years doing PR. I started in 1985 at AARP in Washington, D.C. after I graduated from Howard University. And I had to get that in because the vice president nominee, Kamala Harris, was on campus when I was on campus. So we some great people at that Howard University. So anyway, in 2015, my role was eliminated, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I actually started a consultancy doing PR, but I believe that the Lord had bigger plans for me. And when I left corporate America, many of the people on this call, I'm sure that you can understand when I say this, my health was bad. I went into corporate America wearing a size 8. And when I left 16 years later, and this is ironic, I was wearing a size 16 and my health was bad. And I entered my own health journey. And so while I was on my health journey, I lost my job. And you know, who would ever think that I would end up owning and operating my own juice bar here in Southeast Queens, using much of the same skills that I learned promoting people, places, and things for all those other organizations and companies that I had worked for previously. I'm now using those skills for myself and for my children and my business called the Nourish Spot. some of the things that I heard Dr. Froswa say, I really want to get across. Yes, relationships are really, really important. And yes, content is king, but collaboration is queen. And so really, I've learned you can't really get much of anything done in life, whether it's while you're working or if you're an entrepreneur, without other people. So you should cultivate your relationships just as much as you're cultivating your learning. Like one thing I learned at AARP is that you're supposed to spend your life learning, right? Learning is a lifelong journey. So one of the things that I've done and I continue to do, when I left corporate America, I didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about starting an S Corp. I didn't know the first, but what did I do? I just jumped in with both feet and I took classes. I went to SCORE. I went to SBA. I read books. I talked to friends that had entrepreneurial ventures that were doing well, and I just tried. And I would tell you that a couple of times I thought I was going crazy, and I thought maybe I did not know. I wasn't sure of what I was doing, and I did not even have a lot of people that were encouraging me. You know, some of the people that loved me the most thought I was losing my mind. But I'm glad that I persevered and that I didn't take no for an answer, and I tried hard. And the Nourish spot is open. We're an oasis in a food desert in an urban environment in Jamaica, Queens. What I'm really, really proud of is the mentoring that we do for young high school and early collegiate Black and brown children from the neighborhood. I'm also proud that my family, we were able to remain open throughout COVID, and we're still open doing business. And I believe that's because doctors and other medical professionals were explaining to the citizenry that it's important to eat healthy. So, it's I don't know if it's ironic, I don't know if it's favor, blessing, but it just seems like God moved me from one industry into another industry for such a time as this. And so if I can tell people to do anything, is to leap out on faith, believe your ideas, right? And start taking action on them. Even if it's just a little step, take action on your ideas. And when you take action on your ideas, the world will conspire, the universe will conspire to make those things come true. But you have to take the first step. And then I also want to go back and say this. I talked about collaboration being queen. Well, it's been really, really important for us because some of the relationships we have. So I want to thank the AKAs, the Epsilon Pi Omega chapter here in Jamaica, Queens, and New York City, as well as the Deltas, Delta Sigma Theta. These women have joined together to support the Nourish Spot. The elected officials in the community, I get to know them. They've gotten to know me through my work at your college. I worked there too. I was director of public relations there for 6 years. And so I made sure that it wasn't just me getting what I need from the elected officials. When they needed help or they needed something from the college, I made sure that I was helping them. And so, it does matter. One hand does wash the other. And, you may not always get what you need from somebody, but if you help people, somewhere down the line, somebody will help you or somebody will help someone you love. So I really, really, really implore you and encourage you to make sure that you're out here looking for ways to help people. Terry Williams, who's one of my mentors, she had me read this book called Everything I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And it's true. Say please and thank you, right? Ask people how you can help them, keep your word, and look, in the pandemic, wash your hands, right? So, it's really not rocket science. It's really not rocket science. If you treat people good, and you try hard and you do a good job, people will show up for you. People will give you they'll give you your money. Like in my case, we're giving people a good product, and so they're giving us their money and allowing us to help them get healthier. So I'm going to end because I know there's lots of questions, but I just do believe one more thing. One of the things that they taught me growing up, and I'm older, I'm in my 50s, so I'm a little older. But one of the things I was taught growing up is it's who you know, right? And supposedly, the people you know are going to help you get ahead. Well, let me tell you something. That's not really the right advice. The right advice is it's not who you know. It's who knows you and will vouch for you when you're not around. So I say get some, using LinkedIn and Shaper and any other tools that you have during this time to cultivate your relationships, because and one of my friends just said, reminded me of something, your network, and this is something I used to say all the time when I was at Prudential, your network equals your net worth. So you look at the people that you are aligned with. You look at what they're doing and what you're doing, and figure out how together you all can ramp up together and do better. And with that, I'm going to end, and I'm looking forward to the questions.
Thank you so much, Don. Congratulations, girl. You brought the Nourish spot right on screen. That's all. I felt nervous. I just want to start with a few questions, and I'm so glad you guys are asking questions in the chat, and I'm so glad that Dan and Froswa and Don are answering them. So I wanted to remember what was asked. So thank you so much. But I said this earlier, and I'm going to start with questions, my round questions here. Everyone has a purpose because God is a purposeful God. So everyone has a purpose. Don't ever forget that. And the joy that we bring into this place is what we can do for each other. And we have to do it honestly, intentionally, and with integrity and with follow through. So that's good. So Dr. Froswa, I've got an opening question for you. We're circling back. Y'all better get ready now. Are there any strategies I can use to help manage my way through this crisis and also ensure that I practice self-care? And I wanted to let you guys know that Dr. Froswa's book is amazing, Fly Away. So could you also share some of the tips from your book about that? So again, the question is, are there any strategies I can use to help manage myself, manage my target population, my clients in this crisis, and self-care, because I know self-care is crucial in order to make it through this what we're going through. Go ahead.
So what I would suggest is plug in strategically to social media. I think it is so easy to get consumed with news that you need to be very strategic about what you feed yourself. I love the name of Don's restaurant about nourishment. Just as you nourish your body, you have to nourish your mind and your spirit. And if you're not very careful about what you allow in, you cannot be surprised about what comes out. A lot of folks are very angry and irritated because they're constantly feeding themselves things that are toxic. And then the output looks like that around them. So I think in this environment for self-care, it is really being strategic about what you feed yourself. So much of the challenge that we see is because people are not being healthy. I think my biggest concern, even out of COVID, is not just the disease itself, but it is the mental health of people once we get out of this. Is going to be traumatic if people are not very careful. I love your shirt because it's not about it's the physical distancing, but in this time we need to make sure we are cultivating relationships and checking in on people and each other, and not just for meetings, but just to ask folks, how are you doing? What do you need? And being honest and transparent and creating those sister circles and brother circles to help ourselves get through this, because we can't help anybody. It's kind of like the expression about being on an airplane. You know, you put your mask on first before you can put it on to everybody, put it on for everybody else. And so I think it's important for us to take care of ourselves so that we can be around, you know, for this marathon of a fight that we have ahead of us.
I love that answer. Self-care and self-empowerment is important, and people do need to know the difference between the two. And ladies, I put in the chat because Froswa and I share a pen together. We both write a column for Texas Metro News, owned by publisher Cheryl Smith, who's also on the call. And I'm gonna try to give everybody I can a shout out, but you all are so famous, and all of y'all are all of y'all's #1 fans. So I'm gonna need some autograph pictures. I'll put my address in the slideshow, send it to me. But you see some links in there, and one of the things that Don touched on is, and one of the articles I wrote is that we have to take this moment and make it a movement. And in order to do that, we have to have momentum, and it touches on what Dr. Froswa says about relationships and how important that they are. So in order for this moment not to go away and not to fade, not to be the Emmett Till or the something of the past, we've got to be able to be networking and creating our best practices of engaging each other. And so thank you for that. I'm going to walk over here to Van Crawford. Van, your question, I have a question for you. Why is creativity so important? As we pivot to a virtual world, why is creativity so important in 2020?
I would definitely say creativity is so important. As we're finding out, you can do much more with less. And obviously in this pandemic, everyone's had to shift their resources and shift what they maybe envisioned. There was a lot of strategies, I'm sure, that, can't be executed now, plain and simple. So I think that it's even more paramount for us to be creative because, I think I would say, anyway, maybe March, April, if you were still kind of mentally trying to wrap your mind around what's happening, okay. But, after May hit, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like we're at home and you kind of have to adjust and pivot. You know what I mean? So I think it's just really important to stay creative and think of different ways. I know for me, a lot of the advertisers I was working with, I couldn't offer them in-person interviews with celebrities or different things like I had been, or junkets, or a lot of us that, do entertainment or film things like the junkets and the red carpets and things like that can be wrapped into branded content campaigns is no more. So how can, we still, suffice, these client campaigns? How can we still stay top of mind? You know what I mean? We can release podcasts, we can release remote interviews, we can brand Zooms. So we just need to stay creative, and, continue to look for ways to not look for excuses. The excuses, I mean, it happened. I mean, it is what it is, but when the entire world is dealing with it, you really can't use it as a crutch or an excuse. You know what I mean?
Well, Ben, let me ask you something. I agree, and all of us, everybody's chiming in on this, all of our happy hour guests. We do have to choose a new season. It needs to be filled with a different purpose. But my other question is, what is the future of multicultural marketing? Are we going to lose our blackness in this?
Definitely not. I think that the future of multicultural marketing is a big old table. I think that before, clients might just have been thinking about obviously maybe just Black people, but now we have, it's true inclusion. You know what I mean? You're thinking about your Asians, you're thinking about your LGBT, you're thinking about your different people. So it's not, how do I get in front of just Black people? Because that was, for some reason, some people in their heads, when they think of multicultural, they think of Black people and just trying to get in front of them. But I think that it's a much more inclusive approach to marketing. I think that it requires a lot more honest conversations, a lot more, of conversations where people have to be honest with themselves even. Maybe some of the marketers at these tables that have been kind of feeling so comfortable speaking to audiences they have no experience talking to. Maybe it's time for, them to kind of lean in and learn, you know what I mean, to people that are, able or adept to speak to some of those multicultural audiences. So I think that it's going to take a lot of learning. I think that if Black people, and I know we will, I think that, us as Black professionals, we have to grab this time, but we also have to kind of look into the future and kind of realize, okay, how do we, kind of forecast what will, happen, the developments, and kind of our staying power, within this, because if we just kind of use it as a trendy movement, then we'll lose our seat and we'll lose our position. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Ben. And you guys, don't forget that's a powerful chat. So don't forget to be downloading that stuff. It's great stuff. Every time somebody speaks, somebody puts a video or a newspaper column or a question in. So far, all the questions have been answered, but I do see a few. But I'm going to go back over to Don right now. Don, one of the things I used to say to myself, if you want to hear God laugh, dance, and smile, tell him your plans. And it kind of moves you into a spiritual place where the only way to get what you really want is to let go of what you don't want. And so my question to you is, what are the skills and tools that you develop and I should be developing during a time when we have to pivot? And how did the Nourish spot become a component of your journey? You're muted.
I want to take license because I think I'm oldest out of all three, out of three of us. So I want to take license. I'm going to answer that question that you just gave me, but I want to say something to the other two questions as well. So, Dr. Froswa, I wanted to tell you that my motto, our brand slogan at the Nourish Spot is "You are what you consume." So it's right back to what you said earlier about the things that we take in is what we regurgitate out to the world. So we have to be really, really careful about what we read, who we're around, what we listen to, right? As well as what we eat. And I wanted to tell people, if you didn't know this, if you're feeling bad some days, eat some fruit. Something about the enzymes and the nutrients in fruit, it actually makes you from the inside out feel better. I'm not a doctor, but I do know that's the truth. And so, whenever you're feeling down, pick up a piece of fruit, a piece of good, ripe fruit, eat it, and I'm guarantee you'll feel better. The other thing that I wanted to say really quick was, you asked about creativity to Van, and as an older lady, a seasoned executive, I want to say this. I think it's you evolve or you die, right? No one has the there's no more time where you could just learn one skill and stick at that. That's over. Okay. Maybe back in my grandfather's time, and it was okay. Right. And you could learn one thing and you could stick with that one thing till you retire. But the world changes too quickly now with the advent of technology and how things change so quickly. And so you have to evolve. And so creativity is really, really, really important. Evolve or die. And then I also wanted to talk real quick about this whole diversity and inclusion thing. You know what? I think they need to throw that out with the bathwater, because no one paid it any attention. It's not about diversity and inclusion. It's about equality and equity. And that's across the board for everybody. If a company can't show that they are doing things on an equal basis and there's equity in pay and parity in pay, then there should be some ramifications for them. So now, to my question. What should you do to pivot? All right. One, you should go into a deep self-assessment and you should figure out what makes you tick, not what the world needs, not what you think your mama wants you to do, okay? Not what you think your spouse wants you to do. You need to figure out what makes you tick, what you enjoy doing, what you do without being paid for it, okay? And if you know how to do it and you have skills in it, then jump into it with both feet and start doing it. If you don't know, if you need to learn more about what it is that makes you tick, then invest in yourself and take classes online. Well, now everything is online. You have to take classes and learn and practice. Practice being great by doing. And I guess the last thing that I would say, God does have a sense of humor, and it is not, we all can have the best laid plans. I did, I did. I had the best laid plans. I knew, when I was going to retire and what I was going to do after I retired. And then somebody threw a monkey wrench in that, and I had to regroup. And it wasn't easy. I grieved. And so the other thing is give yourself time to get over it. Okay, you have a right to grieve. Okay, I think that that's one thing that Black people don't give ourselves time to do, is that we don't grieve. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't talk nice to ourselves. And so that's something that I had to learn how to do. I had to look at the situation correctly, okay, and not see it as me failing, but seeing them as failing and losing a really good employee. But that's okay, because I was able to roll with the punches, and now I'm a CEO, a founder and a CEO of my own store. And let me let you all in on a little secret. I didn't take any loans to open up my store, okay? I used that severance package and my savings to open up my business, which has now been open over 3 years, and I'm really proud. And I would tell you this, prayer, you know, I don't like to foist my spirituality onto anybody, but meditation and prayer is another pivoting genius move. So I would tell you that if you're not sure of what to do next, pray. Ask whomever you believe in as a higher power to help you figure out what's next. And then have the courage to say it out loud. Because once you say it out loud, again, the universe will conspire to help you make whatever that goal or dream is come true.
Now, Dawn, all I can say is amen. Started out with a drink, it's gone. That's why we asked you to bring a drink to the table, people, because we're going to share things that are going to keep us connected and keep us moving. As media professionals, as communications professionals, we have to work together because we are in a different world. I shared a quote in there that I got from my good friend Jewel Donna Taylor. Our main thing is to make sure our main thing stays our main thing. And Don just reminded you, you got to realize what your main thing is and make sure it stays at the top. So I really thank all of you for being here. And it's, like I said, it's a happy hour. We got 4 minutes. I said hour and I meant an hour because I want you back for the next one. So, but what I do want to do is I think we asked all the questions. So at this point, I do want to know if anybody, you can unmute yourselves, but please raise your hand and just say, put in the chat you want to talk. I think we've covered most of the questions that have been asked, but I do want to do some celebrations because I think that, you know, I'm excited about the chance for remove, reform, and defund, because those shouts signify our collective response that we want something done. And I like that part. I'm celebrating the fact that we as communicators and as people of color, we have come to a place where we are controlling our narrative and we are doing what we need to do to get things done. And these wonderful panelists are an example of that. But one thing I want to be mindful for all of you, let's not play this age game. There's something we can learn up and down the ladder. And Don called herself the oldest one here. I checked my birth certificate. I'm the oldest one here. I'm 32. That's how I tell if y'all listening. That's how I tell if you're listening. But anyway, I'm the oldest man in the room. But our millennial, Mr. Ben Crawford, and some of you millennials on the phone, we are a partnership. It's not about age. It's about cultural power. It's about competence. It's about us reaching back. If I need to learn TikTok, I'll call you. But you know, if you need to negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal, get me on the phone.
Okay,
right. All right, so.
And you know what, Terry? You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Listen, I wouldn't have been an award-winning PR executive if it wasn't for people like Phil Dukes, the late Phil Dukes, Terry Williams, Pat Tobin. You know, those are my heroes. Those are the people who I stand on their shoulders. And if I wasn't able to pick up the phone and call them and ask them what to do, I might not be here on the phone talking to you guys tonight. So it's important. I saw on the chat somebody said that George Fraser says Black people need to save Black people. And I wholeheartedly agree. We've done it before. Harriet Tubman, and we can do it again. So I say to anybody, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you would like to talk, contact me there. I always make myself available, and I like to see people win. So if I can help you win, please contact me.
Cool. So now, as we close, we have to. I'm going to take a question from Larry and put it out there. We have to concentrate on organizing, galvanizing our own resources, and we've been doing that for years. Even when we worked for somebody, we did the job of 4 or 5 people. And I always very proud of whatever job I left. It took, they had to hire 6 or 7 people to call me to get it done. So it's become popular for us to do that. So I was working on a project, and I'm going to put it here. It's called The Green Book. How many of y'all saw that movie? Or go and Google it. But it was about
I had no desire to see that movie.
You would have no desire. It was about going through the South, and the book was published 75,000 copies every year, and only sold for 15 cents. But in that book, as a colored person, you know where you could eat, sleep, and shop and travel throughout the South. And it was written by Victor Hugo, who lived in Brooklyn. But it was a popular book until, what is that thing? I didn't call it integration. People call it integration. I call it assimilation. When integration happened. And so we need to collectively put together, and Ben and I were talking about it, Froswa and I'm talking about it to like 30 people, but we need a collective resource to show that I don't want the top 100. I want the all people in there who said, this is my specialty, and this is you come to the Green Book to spend the money you need to spend with us. We collaborate with each other. It's not a competition, it's deal making and collaboration. Just like if y'all download that chat, there's some good stuff in there. I love that she said content is king and collaboration is queen. And so much is in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick to our hour, but let's do some good news. Let's have some good news announcements. I was told I couldn't do the good news, but before I go to the good news, I want to talk to my other partner and friend, my Zoom, learning how to do Zoom partner, Miss Nikki Mayo. She wanted to share a little point. And Nikki, I'm going to give you those 2 minutes, and then we'll be here last closing. From the panelists, I just need to know, people need to know how to reach you, and that's what we're going to do. But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, my contribution, I'm hoping I'm not redundant, is it's kind of piggybacking on. Hi, darling. Hi, Dawn. It's what Van was talking about. When I do my audio and video company role, I've had multiple clients seek me out because their annual events have been canceled because it can't be in-person galas and soirees or, events where they can bring people together and perform. So I know they might be nervous about doing the whole, let's do it on social media thing, but even a well-done video or a well-produced interactive Zoom event can give them some essence of what they were trying to have that got canceled. It's a lot cheaper, frankly. But the other thing is that it keeps you visible and people don't forget about you, and they remember that you made efforts to kind of come into their home at a time when they could not leave really their homes. That's all I was adding. You can always look at Nikki Mayo News for anything, and you'll see like some of my more recent projects. And the most recent one I have is a fibroid awareness campaign for the entire month of July, where these women could not have their annual event, but they made it more of a national event than just an Atlanta-based event. So those are just an example of what you can do. And it's cheaper too, by the way.
Thank you, Nikki. So let's start off with Dr. Froswa. How do we reach you? What are some of your places that you land socially, and your closing shout out?
So I can, what?
Go ahead. Got it. I just want to make sure you're on screen.
Okay, I can be reached at info@drfroswa.com. My website is drfroswa.com. Just started a podcast that you can go to my website, and it's called The Tapestry. It is about weaving the stories of women and sharing those lessons that we've learned as we've gotten older.
Thank you. Thank you. Dan?
Hey guys, so you guys can check out my website, vanlcrawford.com, or I mean that's pretty much my central way. You can connect to my email, and it's kind of like an inquiry form in my website that you could reach me at. But I'm always looking to connect dots, do different things. I went to Hampton University, so shout out to all the HBCU alum on this call. I love it. And I'm looking to do a lot of different things in the next few months. I'm working on a few, corporate partnerships. Like I said, I also consult. I started working on a few new clients. And I have passion projects. I'm looking to do, I was telling Terry, a panel next month where we're kind of featuring Hampton C-suite executives. So I'm just always looking to kind of, keep it moving, keep the conversation going, connect dots where I can. So looking forward to, and LinkedIn, please hit me up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because that's where you found me, wasn't it?
I know, right.
All right, Don, how do we find you?
So come, let us nourish you at the Nourish Spot. You can follow us, please, at the Nourish Spot, THENOURISHSPOT, and we're on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, prmaven17@gmail.com, and don't let the Nourish Spot fool you. Public relations runs through my veins like blood, so I still take on clients here and there. It's no fun just having the Nourish Spot as my client. So if you want to reach out to me and talk to me about maybe taking you on as a client, let me know. I'm willing to do that. And then last but not least, I just wanted to do a shameless plug because I can. Those of you that have an iPhone, I want to show you just how delighted my family and I are. When we hang up the phone, I would love for you to ask Siri on your iPhone, who's the best restaurant in Jamaica, Queens? In less than 3 years, you know what she says? The Nourish Spot.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
So
that's good stuff.
That's good stuff.
Thank
Before we
you.
go, we always like to celebrate stuff. So I'm going to start with Don, and then Misty's going to tell us a little celebration, and so is Simone. She can talk about it. And I want to recognize so many people here, so many of my partners in crime, so many of my cultural soulmates and my ambassadors are here. But I do want to recognize a new board member at NABJ, Michelle Fitzcraig. Thank you for being here, Michelle. I want to recognize Cheryl Smith, who's allowed our voices to be carried through the Black paper, who just signed a collaboration with a mainstream journalist paper, the Dallas Morning News. I want to recognize them. I want to recognize my politics and my other wine drinking buddy. She said she was cooking. I don't know what you're cooking, Cindy, but we're going to come over there. She has a great intersection between politics and people of color. David Tyson, frat brother and sales guru. So if you don't have a good elevator pitch, make sure you reach out to David. And Larry Lundy, Black Professional Sports Network. There's so many people here. And of course, a shout out to Mary in Houston. We'll be seeing you next year, and her new position and communications. I could go down the list, but we got about 37 people. If I missed anybody, it is not intentional. It is part of my heart. So everybody go ahead and put your email addresses in the site. But here, let's just share some good news. Don, you forgot to tell us about that money you just got. I'm listening.
So thank you, Terry. So one of the things, and I think Van talked about this, one of the things that's going on is that a lot of corporations are starting to realize that, they owe a great debt to us African Americans, and they are starting by putting together pools of grant money for Black-owned businesses. And thank God, my children and I have our ducks in a row and our paperwork correct. And as a result, we've been able to garner some grant awards. We won one from True Financial and another from Caress the Soap. And we got some funding from LISC. And I believe that there's some more coming through. So we're really proud. We wouldn't be getting this grant money if we weren't doing the work and we weren't employing young people in the community and trying to feed people when they can't feed themselves. So we're really proud, and we hope that those of you that live in the New York City area, that you would come by for curbside service until COVID is over, and then I'll be so happy to open the doors and welcome you into the Nourish spot.
I'll be front row when you bring Bernice down there, okay? I'll be front row.
Wonderful. And again, thank you so much to everyone who took time from their Sunday evening to listen to myself, Van, and Dr.
Thank you so much.
Froswa.
Cha-ching. So Misty, do you have some cha-ching to share with us? I also want to give a shout out, as I can discover I'm missing some of you guys. Sheridan Bradley, who's had a multiple career in media and just rejoined NABJ because I coached her in. Give a shout out to Pam Purify. She is our also the chair of the media related member task force. And so, Misty, do you have some good news, some cha-ching to share with us?
Well, hi everyone. I just want to share. You may have heard of.
You know, you have to show your face to share. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're so wrong. I'm multitasking. That's why I'm not. Hi, Dawn. Hi, everyone. You've heard of Share the Mic Now, where white women were given over their social media platforms to Black women, and it was a whole initiative, and it still is. And so in Houston, we're doing a form of that, but it's now called Share the Mic and the Money Now. And so supposedly this is the first one that infuses money into the initiative. And so what we're doing is we have corporations, major corporations here in Houston that have agreed to actually sign on or give a procurement contract to 40 Black women-owned businesses here in Houston. And my company, one of my companies was named one of the 40 women, or one of the 40 companies. So I'm very excited about that. And they've pledged up to $40 million to spend up to $40 million with these 40 companies here in Houston. So that's a major initiative that's happening here. And we're very excited. It kicks off, I think on the 27th is when it all starts. But yeah, we're really excited, and we're hopeful that other cities will start to put the money into it. I think someone on here mentioned earlier, it's one thing to say we're down for Black people, and we're down for all, but put your money where your mouth is. And so these companies are actually going to put their money. I'm so excited about that.
All right, thank you. We kind of lost you a little bit there. Simone, you want to share yours?
I'm muted. Okay. Yes, I do. And it's a great segue because my good news is connected with Misty. So last time we had a virtual happy hour, I was on the panel and connected with Misty, who was also on the panel. And we are now going to be doing a partnership together and working on some PR projects. So excited about that.
Cha-ching. Cha-ching. I love it. I see Misty, but I think we got everybody. Anybody else have some connections that they made? I do want to recognize, Don was one of our early recipients of the Pat Tillman Media Professional Award, but we have last year's recipient on the phone too, Mr. Ron Carter. Welcome, Ron. You want to give us a shout out or something? You can. How you doing, Ron? Fine. That's my ride and die guy right there, Ron.
I have something to share. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, Jade. Come on, Jade. You got some good news, I heard.
Yes. Within 2 weeks, I'll be starting as a public affairs specialist with the CDC. So please keep me in your prayers. I'm very excited.
Awesome.
To go over there and improve my skill set. So please continue to have this because I continue to learn and better ways to connect with the community to provide what we're doing in these different government sectors that I continue to work with. So
all right, guys, I always keep this at an hour and do this 15 minutes for closure. You guys, I started this because we were in the middle of a pandemic and I got home and I didn't have a way out. I ended up being sick as well, but it was because of us. We got together and we pulled ourselves through this. We were once a week and we were connecting. We were talking about going Zoom, doing virtual, re-messaging our clients, just being normal. Then we had self-care. So this is not going to stop. I just want to thank all of you for the blessings that you brought to me. I did put in the chat something from our article at Texas Metro News about how we have to make this a movement, and we have to demand that. Jay just got her promotion. We're going to make sure she gets letters. Can't wait for the Nourish spot to go virtual so we can order. And you know, I'm an executive at FedEx, Don, so I can help you ship that stuff. All right, we can talk. And real cheap. And so I want to thank everybody. We've got a great chat that you can download there. Thanks to Tony, who didn't celebrate his good news. Tony, did you get a package in the mail the other day? The reason I'm bringing Tony up is because Tony has been my person who keeps me sane. Have we reached out to the speakers? Have they downloaded their bio? Is the LinkedIn page updated? Who said what on where? How do we do that? So I'm going to close with Tony's announcement because I sent him a surprise. I shocked him. Tony, you there? Tell us what happened. Of course, he's wearing that wonderful T-shirt as well. So we may have lost Tony. Are you still there, Tony?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just trying to copy the chat. I'm doing like 200 different things here. Yeah, Terry sent me this FedEx. I've not opened it yet, but I know what's in here. And I just want to say thanks to Terry. He was very kind to send me a $100 gift card to Nike. So, and I think he knows that I, unlike probably a lot of guys, I love to shop. So if you give me money for shopping, I'm there. So, hey, Terry, I appreciate it. It's always good to collaborate with you. And it really is great to see so many people on the chat. I think at one point during the chat, we had about 40 people on. So a couple of people have dropped off since, but it's been wonderful and great conversation. And it was, really thank everybody for being on the chat today, and for our speakers. Everyone learned a lot.
Thank you, and that's my close for the day. And my last statement to each and every one of you is that I am so blessed because I don't see anybody in this 42 members over here that I don't know personally hasn't saved my life and intervened in my good spirit. And I'm going to close with this to say, and this is someone I'm borrowing from my good teacher, Iyanla Banzant, not me, but it says everything that happens to you is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. We cannot outperform what we don't believe. So we have to connect and draw to ourselves that we are. And the reason we're great on this call is because we have just drawn greatness from each and every one of us. And let's continue to draw greatness because we have to control narratives. Our stories need to be permanent, not surprise. We have to go from 8 minutes and 46 seconds of a murder televised to making sure that our newspapers survive, our news stories stay top of mind, our businesses open up with us being front row. And we have to take control of that narrative. And guess what? We have all that power right here. And one thing I mirrored that I want to borrow from Don is not who you know, it's who knows you and stands in your space and argues for you when you're not in the room. It's been most important for my career at FedEx. It's been most important for my ability to help the community. Behind me is Cityman Cook. We raised $160,000 for other nonprofits. We don't even keep the ticket money, we just raise the money. But the big thing is that we have reached Black men and we've empowered them to like. And I put in the chat the video that Froswa, Booker Drew helped do about how we focus on how Black men should feel and look. And it's a beautiful video if you haven't seen our site. So I close with saying that our network is our greatest net worth. Let's please stay connected. Make sure everybody gets an email. And do me one big favor, and thank everybody for being here. If I missed out on anybody, send me an email because I'll make sure when we do our next event, we're bringing in Google, Michael Grant, and we're also from California, and we're also bringing in 2 other people, but I will make sure you're announced because every one of you are superstars in my life. So make sure that we create a great worth with this network. And please be aware that we need to be sincere, authentic, and follow through, because any of you will email me and say someone didn't do what they're supposed to do, you're going to have 46 people that you need to answer to. So let's make sure we do that. God bless you all. I'm going to switch this from speaker view to grid view so we can all wave and say goodbye. It's good to see everybody. God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye. Keep waving, keep waving. Hold on, I got to do a little screenshot. You know, I'm not a millennial like Van. It takes a little step. All right, I got it. I got the shot. Thank you so much, everybody. Be blessed. Let's stay in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.